welcome to the podcast, Gary.
Thank you for having me.
So obviously you've been a little bit inactive in the SEO industry as of a few years. For anyone that doesn't know who you are, explain.
Okay, so my name is Gary Wilson. I founded the link building agency Get Me Links. That was back in 2019, 2020. And I actually exited that company for a couple of £1 million. And I then got into property sales. I've been fully kind of in the agency game from then to now, so I've always been a kind of agency guy. But yeah, my claim to fame in SEO was the founding and sale of that company and all the stuff that happened in between.
I think what was really impressive about that company is how quickly you scaled it out and the levels you got it to. So for anyone that doesn't know, how quickly from start to finish?
Yeah, so I mean the original brand started in 2019. I didn't really take link building that seriously around that time, but I became a supplier for a guy called Charles Float, who had a company called DFY Links, and he basically founded that brand, and he grew that fairly well, like over the space of a year in 2019, 2020, and then I actually bought that company from Charles, and it was after that I was able to blow it up. But from sort of start to finish, it was probably about 3 years from start to finish in the exit.
When you bought that company, do you remember what the numbers were doing, roughly, monthly?
I think it was doing about 80 grand, 100 grand a month in dollars, something like that.
And then what did you scale up to in
Like
2 year period?
$350,000, $400,000 a month.
400, yeah. And what would you say has been like the most successful part to that? Like what would you think like changed it for you?
So it would have definitely been two things. Paid ads been one of them. So learning how to create a kind of paid ads system. And then the big thing that we created was a product called the Link Report, which was like a quoting tool for clients, and it was like an amazing like funnel for bringing in link building clients as we scaled.
And how many clients would you say you acquired monthly off of that?
Off of the Link Report?
Yeah.
I would say probably the best part of 20 to 30 new clients a month. But they were all like high ticket business clients, so all sales calls and stuff, but 20 safely a month.
20 safely a month. That, do you know what, that's quite funny, because obviously it's an SEO style agency, but you're not even using SEO to acquire the clients. Did you get that a lot?
Yeah, we heard that a lot. Like there were a lot of guys that would like comment like, oh, like why trust these guys? They don't rank on Google for you know, guest posts and all this stuff. And it was like, well, it's not where the money is. It was like it was building a Facebook ads funnel and scaling something really big.
Yeah.
So yeah, we heard that, but people who were like serious buyers didn't care. They just wanted to get their product.
Yeah, I remember your ads. You got a lot of shit.
Oh yeah, big time.
How did you deal with that?
Did
it not get to you at all?
Never really. I mean, I always it did at first. So I mean, the first couple of comments people made that time I had a bad hairline, you know, people would say, oh, baldy and all this stuff. And then I actually thought about it and I was like, do you know what? They're right. I was baldy. So, I started to actually take it as a good thing in a sense. That's the kind of mindset I had. And to be truthful, from then to now, I mean, I've been running Facebook ads now, even in the new business I've been doing it now for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
I see it as a positive, you know, like you're getting engagement. It means that people are actually engaging with your ad to point out something very specific about it that to try and piss you off. So I don't really see any. It's never really bothered me that hard, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I've learnt from you is you'll take a negative and turn it into a positive.
Always. It's how you look at life. That's what matters.
Yeah. And that resonates with like your personality. Like somebody could call you a dickhead and you'd be like, well, maybe I was being a dickhead. Why is he calling me a dickhead? You try and understand the why, not just
get defensive and upset and
yeah.
Totally.
So I want to go back a few more years. How did you get into SEO?
So my journey for SEO is I actually started as a kind of dork in high school. building websites for people.
Mhm.
So when I was 14, I got my first web design client. My mum actually dropped me off at a local cafe to charge a guy 500 quid to build a solar panel website of all things. So I learned how to code. I was making websites, and as I got some clients through school, they all asked me how to get customers on the website because they built these nice, and I would look at them now and not call them nice websites, but at the time they were nice websites. And you know, nobody's visiting. People thought that by having a website they would automatically get customers, when actually that's not the case. So I came across some videos on YouTube about SEO. And because I'd known quite a lot about web design, I naturally gravitated towards it. I'm quite a competitive person. I think people who do really well in SEO tend to be quite competitive people because it's about getting the number one spot. There's a bit of a ego thing in there for most really good SEOs. So for me, it was just about the game of like winning. It was like being top, you know. So this was back when I was about 16, 17 years old now. That's when I started doing SEO.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah, close to 10 years ago now. I failed like for 4 or 5 years as an SEO. But I had basically an SEO agency, some local clients. I was trying to rank all sorts of different things, and I was making decent money. This was through university. I was making decent money, but one thing that was very true is I became very good at ranking. I was incredibly good at link building specifically. At that time, it was a lot of PBNs. And almost every client I took on, I was able to get them results because I was actually good at delivering SEO at that time. So from doing that, that was where I got very good at link building. And because I wasn't making a lot of money, I became good at saving costs for link building and building out a team to do links for my own stuff and for my own clients that I had. And it was that sort of skill and knowledge that I think was the catalyst to allowing me to succeed very quickly at the game of link building as a company, and that's what allowed that to blow fast.
Yeah, I feel like how you got into SEO is exactly how I got into SEO, because basically I was a web developer, built my brother a website, then my brother referred me a client and he said, "Can you do e-commerce?" And I was like, "What is e-commerce?" Yeah, of course I can do e-commerce.
Yeah.
And then built this e-commerce website. I thought it was great at the time. I look at it now, I'm like, oh.
That was the American client.
Yeah. And then he phoned me back 2 weeks later and he's like, "Mate, where's the clients? Where's the money?"
Yeah, where's the money?
Where's the money? And I'm like, "I think you need to do SEO." And he was like, "Can you do SEO?" And I'm like, "Sure, of course I can."
So you said yes, of course.
Yeah. It just led to one thing to another, and now I'm here talking on stage about SEO.
I know, nuts.
So,
but how it works out.
Yeah, it's a weird way how everything just falls into place. But I want to go back to the SEO agency side of stuff because I feel like a lot of people want to know a little bit more about that. That's a big risk. Why did you decide to take a big risk on? I know you're a risk taker, right? But what is it? Is it for the ego? Is it for
what, to start a company, you mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what? The truth be told, a lot of people ask that, like the risk I take. I mean, I really don't see things as risky. Like I don't really think much about risk. I would say most things I've done have been de-risked tremendously. But there'll be a large level of naivety there. I mean, I look back at some of the early days, the first companies that I started, like me in the frame of knowing what I know today, a lot of the ideas I had were absolute garbage. But I've always been a sort of go-getter mentality, somebody that is just willing to go and crack it. And for me, I would say when you have nothing and you want it so badly, I think risk kind of becomes nothing. I think it goes out the window very quickly because you just spend every day tirelessly trying to figure out exactly how to make it work, and you just have so much belief. And I think it's that belief that you build up that gives you the confidence to just move forward and not worry about risk.
Yeah, I feel like when you don't have money or when you don't have a certain thing, you will make it work. You'll spend the extra hours up at night. You won't sleep. You won't eat, and you'll be like, I need to get this thing, whether it is a mansion, whether it's a car, whether it's being able to fly your family out first class to a certain country.
And it's how bad you want it, right? Because a lot
Yeah.
of people want these things. They want the car, they want the mansion, they want, to fly the family away. But most people
won't take action.
won't take action because they don't have enough driving them towards doing it, or something they're running away from that they need to get it. It's got to be a need in your life, because it is difficult to be successful and run a business and make a lot of money. But most people won't take that leap.
Yeah, it's the famous saying, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. And
Love that. Yeah.
that's like, I think that like a lot of football players say that, where it's like you could be Messi, right? But just because you are and you're not working hard, you're not going to the gym, you're not turning up,
Yes.
you're going to very quickly not be Messi.
Correct.
If that makes sense.
Got to have both.
Yeah. How important would you say your mum's been to your success?
Tremendous.
Yeah.
I think probably I would say one of probably the biggest pieces, actually. And I realised this in the last couple of years. I think the biggest thing that she taught me was confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I'll explain one of the things from my childhood that I think changes the way that I act now. My mum, she used to always allow me to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the smallest of things, It was like, I would say, can I go and do this? Or can I go and see this friend? And a lot of parents, what they'll do is they'll be like, no, you're going to do this, be careful, or cause worry and fear and put doubt, right? But my mum was always like, just let me do it, let me make the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And even if she kind of knew sometimes that the decision wasn't going to work out to be great, she'd let me go down the path and understand myself.
Yeah.
And what that did when I was young is it built a lot of resilience, and it allowed me to think for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest, I'd say, failure of a lot of parents is that they don't allow their kids to think for themselves.
Yeah.
They push a lot of their ideas and their beliefs and their fears and their worries on their kids, and then you grow up to have those sort of fears and issues. And for me, I guess I've just always had a strong level of confidence at almost everything that I've done, especially in business. So, and that's been developed from the way my mum brought me up. So I think she's been absolutely tremendous for raising me to be the type of person that I am, where I have that undeniable certainty about most things that I do.
The reason, do you know why I asked that? So we had a meal yesterday.
Yeah.
And your mum was there. And there was just certain things, and I'm talking to her and I'm talking to you, and I'm like, that sounds like Gary. That sounds like Gary. It sounds like I'm speaking to Gary, but obviously it's your mum.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, the amount of things that you might not even pick it up because it might just be second nature to you. But I'm speaking to her, and I'm like, wow, the amount of stuff that she says that's just rubbed off on you, and you just probably take it for granted, whereas a lot of people wouldn't. So, for example, we were talking about penguins, and she's like, yeah, let's buy some penguins. Whereas a lot of people would be like, no, what
You could never buy a penguin. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. But she's like, no, let's do it. Obviously, it was tongue in cheek, as a joke.
Yeah.
But
we're not actually buying penguins. Although, hey, there might be something to that. We'll leave that idea in the wild, as you say.
I seriously hope the next time I come up to Glasgow, your mum's bought a couple.
Two
of penguins.
Yeah. But yeah, she absolutely is. I mean, she's a. It's like, what would you dream of if failure wasn't an option?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what my mum's always taught me to be like. She's always said, go with your gut, go with what makes you happy, that's all she's ever cared about. She's tried to push towards a path of happiness, and even herself, she used to she has all these fads and phases where my mum's qualified as a nutritional therapist. She was a teacher. She's a qualified hairdresser. I mean, there's not a thing she can't do,
Yeah.
She now refurbishes all my properties, and she's an insanely good property manager and developer at this point. She's the type of person that just goes feet first into everything.
Yeah.
And as I say, that's how I've ended up being as well. Exact same kind of mindset.
I want to look back to the SEO side of stuff a little bit more. And also a little bit more so in the mindset, because I feel like if you're setting up an SEO agency, or not just an SEO agency, just a company in general, you need to have a good mindset, which I feel like you do. Name 3 failures that you've started and it's just flopped. 3.
3. I've got more than 3, but I'll give you the 3 best ones. That's what a lot of people miss. They don't talk. They don't see all the failures. So it's a good one to do. So one of the most notable ones was a supplement company I started called God Gamer.
Yeah.
And we sold gaming supplements. The biggest lesson from that company, very simply, was what I'd done is I'd spent 6 months developing a product, designing it, manufacturing it, getting it in stock. And I spent about 20 grand like developing these initial line of supplements, and had this idea that gamers would take pills to boost their brain. Mind Hack, the product was called. It was really, really cool, like product, well designed. Brandon was 10 out of 10. Like everything was well executed, but ultimately, I spent 2 grand on paid ads to understand that this thing wasn't going to get product market fit. People didn't want this product, right? Mm-hmm. And what I should have done was created an MVP, or just literally launched a landing page with the product on it, designed. So spent 2 grand designing a landing page and getting the product images made, not put the product in stock. Either launched it as like a pre-order or launched it just on the website and people would buy it and just refund them or whatever, just to test if people would actually buy the thing.
Yeah.
And it would have saved me 6 months of time and 20 grand as well, right?
Yeah.
So that was probably my most notable business lesson. Other ones as well. I've had in the early days, I used to launch a lot of sites. Mm-hmm. So I used to have like far too much scatterbrained and ideas. I mean, as an entrepreneur, your mind is always on fixing stuff.
Yeah.
So I used to have like tons of lead gen sites, and I had affiliate projects going on. Mm-hmm. I'll talk about the CBD company as my third one, but I basically had a lot of lead gen sites, a lot of sites, and I got to a point with the link company where when I just cut it all off and just focused on one thing, the results that I was able to get were exponential because I was putting all of my effort into one thing. It's like, imagine you have like 5 cups, okay, and they represent your time that you have, and you put your time, which is the water, into the 5 cups. You're putting 20% of your time into 5 cups. But imagine you just take 1 cup, okay, one project, and you put all of your water, your time into the 1 cup.
Yeah.
And someone else, that your competitor, has put 60% of their time into one of their cups. Your 100 beats their 60.
Yeah.
But your 20 isn't going to beat their 60.
Let's have a little bit of a debate on this, right? Because everyone at the minute is talking about diversifying their income, getting, I don't know, some property, getting some Bitcoin, doing a bit of SEO. What's your thoughts on that? Because, for example, a lot of people would watch this and be like, "Oh no, I don't like that." Because what if SEO vanishes tomorrow, right? Which it definitely won't, but it's a very valid point that some people would make.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people like to think they're Charles Schwab fund makers when they have like 30 grand in the bank. Portfolio diversification, I think that argument makes sense when you're JP Morgan. I think for most people, they need to just shut up and get their head down in their business and actually focus down on what makes them money.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I actually think a lot of projects is just a form of procrastination. It's very easy to go and work on and start new things because it's exciting and fun to work on something new because you're like a creator as an entrepreneur. You like to make new things.
Yeah.
So if I see someone with a lot of projects, what I see is the early days of me that's complete failure. And I don't know many people that start out in business that have a bunch of projects going on and really make them all work. Now, the exception to that argument is lots of projects in one space, right? I look at you have all these sites, but you have a processing system for the same type of site. It's the same blueprint. Even though it's in different niches, it's really one business.
Yeah.
It's a business that produces lots of sites, right? So if you're in the same category and your business centers around one category, it doesn't mean you can't have a lot of websites or a lot of different businesses or a lot of different connections. It's just that having lots of very different types of businesses that takes your time in different directions. Like I've got a Facebook ads business, I've got a SEO business, I've got a business that fucking sells crypto, right? All this stuff, it's like it's just so different, and there's so much to learn and all these challenges. So it's like, how many big problems are you trying to solve, right? It's like, what's your goal, right? Generally speaking, you can pick one big problem and become a billionaire off it. So just pick one thing and become really good at it. And where I've got, I suppose, my enjoyment out of being a creator and working on lots of different things is been doing that in the one company, right? So for example, I'm a property sales company just now, and we have like an app that we're building within the company. We have like a marketing department we're building out. We have like the sales side that we're building out. I get to work in all these varying areas of the company and innovate and create within them, but it's within the one spectrum of the business, and it's getting the one thing to grow, and it's all helping each other to expand. And I think that's a better strategy for anyone that has a net worth of under £10 million.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, I think one thing that you touched on is making certain that everything's in the same category. Whereas like some people, like I look at them now and they've got an SEO agency, and 1 minute they're investing into crypto and then the next they're doing this. It's like, how can you be the best at all of this? Like, don't give me crypto advice and also give me SEO advice and also tell me how to run a team.
Yes.
It's like, how many of you is there? Have you duplicated yourself to be the perfect crypto guy? And
you're not going to be an expert in everything. And the truth is the fallacy of life is that the best person gets everything, right? Everyone wants to work with the best, right? I mean, like, it's no surprise that in the smartphone market, there's literally thousands of phone brands across the world. But in the smartphone market, about 90% of it is dominated by two companies, right? If you look in most markets and most niches, that's pretty much the case. The big boys have a massive amount of market share and a massive amount of wealth. And then the smaller guys get the little crumbs, the tiny bit. It's like, do you want to be one of the big guys, or do you want to be one of the smaller guys and have 5 smaller guys? I'll tell you right now, you're much smarter being one big guy than having 20 smaller guys. Potential, everything's just better and easier.
So your third failure?
Third failure, I had a CBD company. So I actually ranked for best CBD oil. I was number 2 for that. So there was success in this project. I mean, I made money out of this. But the biggest lesson from that company was I wasn't adding value as a business. And I think this was a massive. This was just right before we really scaled the link building company. So I think it kind of really impressed me quite hard. But what we were doing is we had a drop shipping agreement with another CBD supplier, and we were drop shipping CBD oil. Now it was fine. I mean, the drop shipper was really good. Like, the supplier was great, but I didn't understand CBD oil. Like, I didn't come into the CBD business with the impression of saying, I'm going to create exceptional CBD products, right? I'm going to make something that tastes like chocolate, or I'm going to make, you know what I mean? I didn't come in with an idea to innovate that space. All I did was try to rank on Google and rank for some keywords to send traffic to my CBD oil business. And then when we lost the rankings, we get hit by, this was back in the YMYL, the Times, the exodus of all the health sites and everything. That site just got obliterated. We had no value as a business. It wasn't a business. It was a website that
it was a banner ad.
It was a banner ad, exactly. We had a marketing funnel based on my ability to rank websites at that time, and I had nothing else to support it. And I think that's where you start to see these businesses that go from strength to nothing. You know, people that just, even in SEO, just focus on SEO as the only skill. Like, you have to have other skills that wrap around that. So what would have been really smart if I wanted to do the CBD business would have been to actually have, all the time when we were making all that CBD money, we were innovating and creating new product. We were developing our own product to the point where customers were probably coming back, we could have advertised that product. We could have got that product into retail, right? if we'd actually thought about product and making a better CBD oil than a lot of our competitors, we would have created something in that space that was valuable, and the market in general would have found it and continued to use the product, and it would have been a great business, even though it hadn't lost its rankings, right?
Yeah.
There would have been another route or another plan for it. So yeah, I think now the big thing I always do is like I ask myself, even when I did went to property, it's like, why should I win? What's my value add in this sector? What's my unique selling point? Where am I innovating? What is it that I'm providing value to the world with? Yeah. And I think if you're super clear on that and you look at yourself versus competitors and you ask yourself why you should win this, just practically speaking, it makes it almost impossible to fail, because all you need to do is let other people see that. And yeah, SEO, paid ads, all that stuff, these are all channels to get that message in front of people and get that thing that you've created value with in front of people. But the thing that you have needs to be inherently more valuable than what other people have. And ours wasn't. Ours was just like, guy comes on, wants to get CBD oil. Okay, well, we're first in the result, but I'm not coming back for it because it was a fairly crap product compared to what they could get somewhere else.
I think the biggest thing that affiliates have, even to this day, is that you're constantly acquiring new customers for another brand.
Yes.
So if, say, for example, like I'm a gambling affiliate, right? If I'm acquiring a customer for Bet365, that client's now gone. Now, the good thing about gambling affiliate is you obviously get reoccurring
revenue, yeah.
But if I'm sending traffic to, let's say, Amazon, which a lot of people are, you send that.
You get free quids. You know, that customer's buying another 17 things off Amazon in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
You're getting none of that. Yeah, exactly. You've allowed another business to benefit off of the lifetime value of your customers.
One thing I'd like to add to all of your failures is I like how you said why it failed and what you learned. So I think that's the biggest thing when people are so scared to fail, right? When it's, I don't know, if it's a uni degree or if it's a business or if it's a relationship. But if you actually reflect on your failures and you're like, that relationship failed because of this, or that business failed because I was an idiot with the cash and I was flying first class to Dubai and spending it on this and doing that. If you reflect, that's probably, it's not a failure at that sense. Like, I know we've labelled it as free failures, but it's not. You've
it's
learned.
The biggest. It's as I say, I would. I'd go and if I had to do it all again, I'd want those and more.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, those lessons have
shaped you to
shaped me to be as good in business as I am today. And to be honest, when you succeed, you don't learn very much.
No.
You just can get a bit carried away and happy and get a wee cocktail on the beach. You know, it's like that's what success looks like. You don't actually take anything from it. So failures, you want more failures than successes, 100%.
It's never just sunshine and rainbows. You always need a little bit of storm.
There is an iceberg of failures amongst anyone who has a small bit of ice above the water.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
So let's look back round to the SEO agency, right? I know we're delving into subtopics and then bringing you back in. So in the peak of Get Me Links, how many staff did you have?
So we didn't actually have like a lot of like local staff. We used a lot of like overseas, like from the Philippines and South Africa, a lot of contractors. I think at the peak it had 45 people full-time worldwide, 3 of which were full-time in the UK, with like an ops manager here, sales guy, and someone helped with customer support, on a marketing guy as well here as well. So four people in the UK. And then we had most of our team all around the world. That was the advantage of that business, is that we could attract talent from kind of everywhere, and obviously take advantage of the fact that it was a digital product and the talent was cheap, because you're cheaper than the UK. Don't have to worry about pay-by-e and all the lovely taxes we pay on staff here. So yeah, it was great, and it was massively operational heavy, in terms of all the staff and the management of that. And I think that was where we really innovated quite heavily, to be honest with you. And it was that management that was key to its continued growth because a lot of customers came back because we could actually deliver a great product in a great time frame.
Yeah. And if, say, for example, you were to go back in to the SEO industry and do what you've done, do you reckon you'd be able to replicate it?
Yeah, definitely. I think I have a firm belief that almost anything I was to put my mind to, I could make it happen.
Yeah.
I'd say it would be the same blueprint as before. There would definitely be teething issues or things I'd have to figure out again. But yeah, I believe I could.
Here's an interesting one. So obviously, you've not been doing SEO and link building and stuff for 2 years now.
2 years, yeah.
What was something that was working when you were doing link building, which I'll then say if it still works to this day? Because obviously now I've got Searcheroo, so I'm kind of like the Gary Wilson of Searcheroo.
Yes.
So what's one thing that used to work back then, and I want to know if it works now?
Back in the days when I did things, you could pretty much just stick a page up on a website, stick it for a surfer SEO, and make sure that it had the right kind of semantic words for what you were trying to do, and then you could smash links at it. Usually PBNs worked really well. You would put keywords on the homepage of a PBN and just hit them to the page, and then guest posts, tier 2s behind guest posts. Again, a lot of relevancy was really what mattered at that time, I remember. And yeah, the content side didn't need a hell of a lot. You just had to have the right page with the right keywords on it.
I now understand why your CBD website got hit.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say.
So obviously, content's become a lot more important. Obviously, you've got semantic LSIs, secondary keywords that you need to be improving upon. Like, I'm looking at what you're saying now, and I'm thinking to myself, I wish SEO was still that easy.
Yeah,
but in reality, it's not. Or, well, to be fair, it still is. But, for example, how many times after you've uploaded a page would you go back in and re-edit it back then?
Oh, never.
Yeah.
Never. It would just be uploaded. You'd bang it through Surfer. As long as that thing indexed and showed up in the top 100, that was good to go to start smashing my links.
Content freshness is so important now. PBNs, obviously PBNs still work. It's not part of my strategy as such, mainly because I'm building out affiliate sites. Now, if I'm selling you an affiliate site and it's attached to 50 PBNs, you don't want to pay the premium.
Yes.
So we don't use PBNs as such, but they do definitely work. The toxicity threshold on PBNs, which probably wouldn't be a thing when you were doing link building, that's obviously increased over time. So there was a lot of people last year that got hit by the December link spam update. Yeah. A lot of websites got tanked. So there's definitely things that have changed, but the core fundamentals of link building is still the same.
Content and links.
And people just think that SEO is like some magical number that you need to be like, right, I need 14 PBNs here, 7 links there, 2 guest posts there, 3 niche edits. It's not the case.
It's forever changing. I mean, even before my days, I mean, it
was GSA. And
GSA used to be able to just crack up a website and GSA it up, and then the thing would probably get a spam penalty 2 weeks later, but then you just stick another site up again, and it was like
a burning churn.
Yeah, exactly, a burning churn. And you would just keep going round in circles with that. Totally. So I mean, it's amazing to see it develop. I still like to hear about the kind of way things go and what it's like now. But yeah, content seems to be something that's much more important these days than it certainly was back in the times when I did it.
Yeah, massively. Like, for example, Kyle Roof speaks highly about like how important it is to get certain words on the page and certain like sentences and paragraphs and stuff like that. And Corey's another one. Corey's mainly known for like his topical maps. So say, for example, if you're trying to rank for best running shoes, you need to be speaking about certain subjects on your website that makes it very clear to Google that this website is talking about best running shoes or horses or whatever you're trying to rank for. So content has definitely become a way bigger picture. And then not only that is, I don't know if you remember this, but back when you were doing the link building stuff, if anybody said that you can rank without links, they were almost like, "Oh, why are you saying that? That's
it's nonsense.
That's nonsense." There's a lot more of that now.
Yeah.
So I do feel like content has become a lot more
Of an important factor.
important, but then links has also become a lot more important as well, because with the rise of ChatGPT and AI content writing tools, the one differentiator that people have is if we're competitors, it's the links.
Yes.
So yeah, I feel like the content or the quality across the board has just risen, but that was the case all the time.
It's always the way it's going, isn't it?
Yeah. So back to the SEO agency. Not failures. What was some tough challenges that you had running the agency?
Oh wow, a lot. I think one of the toughest things to scale that was, I would say, the marketing funnel, and getting a very, very strong depth on what customers actually wanted.
Yeah.
So when I took over DFY Links from Charles and put it into Get Me Links, I had to figure out the pain points, the needs and the wants of all of the people that I was working with. And then I had to do that as well as obviously building a funnel which could bring them in. It was a really difficult thing. It seems like simple in essence, but I remember like we used to collect feedback on like what's your pain point, like why are you on the call, and then what is it you're looking to get to. So heaven and hell sort of analogy. And then we used to like write it in all these post-it notes and like stick it on a wall. There's a guy called Luke Kilcoyne, Luke.
Yeah.
That just was a rock star, like helped me pretty much consulted in the whole ad side of that business. And we booked out this Airbnb, and I was sitting there with Luke, and we had all these like sticky notes like on the wall. And it was like something of the Matrix, a mind-boggling thing, just to work out, like what do people want when they come on a call and speak to us, and then from that, how can we make a product that solves their problem that's unique and special?
Yeah.
Great products, the devil's in the details. It takes a lot of time and effort and a massive moat to create a product or a service that's incredibly good for people. But on the front end, it just looks simple. People look at the link report and just think, oh, it's a really simple thing. It's just a report. But there's so much behind it, so much thought, so much details, so much conversations, hour-long conversations about, one page on it that went into making that. And that was why it was great. That's why it worked. So it was that. It was getting a mindset of customer first thinking. And that was probably the hardest thing that I had to deal with when we were growing that agency.
Yeah. I think one thing that you always speak about is the experience of the actual customer. Like, are they having a good experience, or is it more of a broken experience? And I think that because I've seen the link report, funny enough, when you were actually launching it, I was probably one of the first people that saw it.
Yes.
Gave you feedback on it.
Yes.
So I think the whole purpose of that link report was to essentially highlight issues that were blatantly obvious to SEOs, but in some cases, if you're looking at your website, you've kind of, you're tunnel visioned at times. So it's like, oh, have you thought about that and that and that? And then if you present that to somebody and they're like, oh no, I've not. Here's $3,000 for some links.
Totally. I mean, it was like the data doesn't lie. I mean, what the link report did is it showed a discrepancy of a client's links versus their competitors, and it showed them exactly what they needed to build, and it aligned that with the product suite that we had to fulfill that discrepancy. So it's like, okay, so here's where you're at, and here's where your competition are at. Spend this amount of money, and then you can fit that discrepancy. Now that seems very simple now, but get to that point of understanding that that's what people actually wanted in the first place took a lot of effort initially to get there, and that was the magic of why it was so good. It was why we were able to come up with that innovation. It was from the research and the feedback we got.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the exit. So obviously you sold for a couple million. What was the exit like? What was because there's going to be people watching this that might be looking to sell, whether it is an affiliate site, whether it's an agency, or they might even have an e-commerce brand.
Yeah.
What's some things that you learnt from actually exiting?
The process takes a lot longer than you think.
How long did it take?
It took a year to find a buyer and 6 months to go through completion.
Right.
I think a fair assumption for a multi-million-pound enterprise is going to be a year and a half. I heard that number flying around, and it seemed to align perfectly with what I was doing. Of course, depends. Sorry.
Can I just pause you for 1 second? How long did you think it was going to take for it to sell?
I mean, you think everything's going to be 2 months. The money's in your bank. No, it took a lot longer, and I was still running the company, and it was all fine, and I actually ended up profiting nicely, I suppose, because for that length of time looking for a buyer, I was making income on the business. It was very profitable, so no qualms about it at all. But yeah, it took a long time. There's a lot of like legal sides to it that you have to kind of learn about. So you need a good lawyer to assist you through all of that. I'm a geek for business, so I loved it. Like, it was a really cool process to go down and work with commercial lawyers and all the different things that they ask you to do, the calls you've got to jump on, and disclosures and all this stuff that you put in the contracts. It's just mental. The process. Tax advisors have to tell you, how to. Everyone's getting their hand in the pot when you do a business sale. That's what you'll notice. All these professionals all of a sudden seem to pop up. Commercial lawyers and accountants, they all seem to love you. At that time. So it's cool. It's an exciting process, and I think for me it was exciting to have achieved that as well, and more importantly, I was more excited, I think, of the next business I was able to start, and having a free brain when I got out of Get Me Links to focus on the property stuff.
So we're going to get to the property stuff, because I know, like, I want to talk to you about it as well. But so it took a year and a half to find a buyer and the sale to go through.
Yeah.
How much of the money did you get up front?
About so it was done in an earn-out, so I think I got about half of it up front.
Half of it up front. And then how much, or how long was your earn-out?
It's over 2 years.
It's over 2 years. Now, for somebody that is looking to sell, and earn-outs are very common, right? Because the last thing you want to be doing it as a buyer is buying a company and then it flops 2 months later, and then you need to, and you've already paid the guy.
Yes.
What's some things that people should be concerned about, or maybe not concerned, but they should definitely know about in the earn-out process?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to make sure that if you're on an earn-out, that the person you're selling to the company to, you have confidence that they can run it and they've got competency to do it, because obviously you lose an element of control when you take that kind of deal. My advice, quite honestly, is to make sure that the money that you receive up front, if you were to receive no other payment the day after, would you sleep at night?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
That's probably my advice. And yeah, there's so much that could go wrong. That the guy who buys it, and this didn't happen to me. Luckily, mine was a very pretty smooth process. The guy that buys it could go bankrupt, right? And what if they went bankrupt? You sold this business, you think you get all this money coming, and you don't, because the guy can't pay you it, right? The money's not there till it's there. That's pretty much the thing in business. No matter how tight your contract is, there's things that can go wrong. It's not been paid. So yeah, but you'll generally get more for a business if you put it on a payment plan or an earn-out, because the buyer is using the profits from the business that they take over to pay you, and therefore they will probably pay you more than a full cash upfront lump sum.
Yeah.
So it's all about your goals. For me, I wasn't looking for the money upfront. I was looking to get out of the link building game to do my next thing. And I was fine with the money coming out over 2 years and it being in a kind of process. You've just got to be comfortable with what you're happy with, and do a deal that makes sense for what your sort of financial and business plans are.
Yeah. And then in those 2 years, what can and can't you do?
So it depends on the contract you have. I had a non-compete, so you can't obviously open up another competing business or another link building agency and start taking clients.
Yeah.
So most business sales you will have that, especially a kind of multiple 7-figure one. You'll definitely have that.
It's a very normal thing, I would say.
Very normal, yeah. And you got to make sure as well that your earn out, your non-compete is like fair. So it's like if they'd said to me, "Oh, you can't start an agency," I mean that wouldn't have been fair because I'm starting a property agency, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have plans for what you're going to be doing over the next 2 years, and then make sure that you're not ultimately the buyer. It doesn't want you to affect the business that they're purchasing, right? That's in essence what a non-compete is for protecting their investment in the business that they purchased. So that's the main thing in terms of you can't, but there's a lot you can do with a few million quid. So that's the main focus is like what are you going to invest in? What are you going to do with that?
So the money hits, right? What's the feeling like? Or no, not what's the feeling like. How did you feel?
How did I feel?
Yeah.
Do you know what? So the day after the business sold, was probably one of the saddest days of my life.
Really?
Yeah. Because overnight I had went and probably pepped this moment up so much in my head that a figure in a Wise account didn't do anything for me. It wasn't the money I was doing it for. Actually, it was a huge life lesson at that point that actually the exciting thing was the journey, the business, the working with cool people, the working on great things. And I had this great business working for these cool people, and overnight I didn't. And I thought that 7 figures in my bank was going to do something to fill a need there, and it wouldn't. So that was a hitting point. And then I'd already kind of started the property business and the lead up to the sale anyway, so very quickly was able to focus on that and get something going. But I mean, I think people that think money by itself is going to fulfill you is totally wrong. The money is what you use it for. What made me fulfilled and what has made me fulfilled for the last couple of years since the business sold has been where I've invested at, who I've been able to work with, the projects I've been able to work on, the challenges we've been able to overcome, and it's that daily journey that has been the bit that's been exciting and joyful and fills me with happiness.
I remember you specifically saying that it was a painful process, mainly because you've grown this monster, and now you're starting from scratch, essentially.
Right.
So I get it, but a lot of people would be like, "Why? Why was he sad?"
It's like imagine every day you're working with like a couple of partners in a business turning over 400 grand a month. And all day you're sitting there talking about big decisions, how we're going to get our average order value up, and big thing. We're getting consultants in, and it's like high level stuff. And then the day after that, all you're thinking about is I've got to go and do a property viewing to sell my first house. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you go from the top of the tree to the bottom, and then at the bottom, nobody knows who the hell you are. You don't have the status you felt you have and the admiration you were getting. You're in a completely new industry at the bare bottoms, right? That is like it's a big change. It's a bit like athletes have that problem. It's like it's the typical athlete syndrome.
It's like they're a footballer, and then they might become a manager, and then they go and become a pundit. It's literally all about the presence of them being there and the followers.
Correct. And the admiration, all that stuff, that's what combines. It's what you're doing in a day that truly is the thing that will make you fulfilled. The money is a tool to decide what you do that day.
Yeah.
You can use it for to decide and it gives you opportunity. But on its own, it's shallow, useless, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I think the biggest thing that sticks out with you and guys like James is that you're not doing it for the money anymore, right? Because you could literally retire tomorrow.
Yep.
And you'd be way less stressed than what you are now.
Hell yeah.
Right? Why are you doing it? Why did you sell a business to then go and set up a property business that you're doing now?
Yeah, good question. Just because I've got a point to prove.
What's the point?
That's going to require a lot of therapy to get that one out. But the truth is I just care about winning. It's a game for me. Right. Same reason Ronaldo has kicked a ball since he was 9 years old and continues to work harder than everyone else in the world. I just love the art of business in the game, and the impact it can have in the world is the positive that comes out of my work. So I have a strong belief that it's just a really great thing for the world. And for me, building the level of status around winning and being admired by other successful people is what gives me the fulfillment, a little minute of fulfillment that I need to keep going. So yeah, just winning, just playing the art of the game. That's what I'm all about. It's just it's this at this point for me. It really is a sport. It always has been, but at the start, the sport was to get enough income to not worry about the price of something in a supermarket. Now it's more about rising others up, working with people who are great, working on really big things. You know, I like to be thinking about things with a billion on it now. You know, that's the kind of just playing a bigger game.
Yeah.
Growing faster and growing bigger. That to me. That to me is the joy and excitement. And business is just this thing that you can always keep doing and keep growing. And it's so competitive and it's exciting.
Yeah, that's really good answer. So away from the SEO side, obviously you've went and set up Let Property.
Yeah,
I've met the team. They're all great.
Yeah. Thank you. Should have loved that.
So, why property?
So when I was scaling and growing the SEO agency, I invested in property as an investor. My mum was always into property. She was a teacher. She had retired. She was buying properties herself, and I just bought a few initially to place to part money. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad years ago, and it said, live off of the proceeds of the egg, don't touch the egg itself. So if you buy a house for 100 grand and it pays you £500 a month, you can go and spend the £500 a month till the day's gone by, but you never need to touch the 100 grand. It'll just grow as well with the price of houses. So it's just an investment vehicle I was always fascinated about. I love this idea of just having passive income. It almost feels like, it's not passive income, by the way, but it's the closest thing that I could probably think of that is passive income. I was just always fascinated by that, and because of my mum's passion for it and because of the connections I have, I'm naturally a problem solver. I just saw a great opportunity to get into it. So I was there as an investor, and then as I was an investor, I began to see an opportunity in the space of sales, and it kind of coincided perfectly with the experience I had with this SEO agency.
Yeah,
because I've got a property sales company and a lettings agency. I mean, these are agencies, so my game is people, fulfillment of a service for clients. That's what I became very good at, is the ability to grow those types of companies. So it just kind of went hand in hand, and a few kind of tick marks in my life made me realize. And then the big thing was it's scalable, massive. Potential of property is huge. And that was my main reason actually for sort of getting out of SEO and coming into property, was just because the size and scale of what the property business could do at an extremely high level is tremendous and immense.
Yeah, I think it's been unbelievable, because the last time I was in Glasgow visiting you, the office was in your living room.
Yeah.
Now I walked in and I was taken back by the whole thing. Like I knew you had 16, 17 staff.
Yeah, 18 actually.
18 staff. But when you walk in, and the last time was in your living room, this time it's an office, and they're all looking at you, and I'm like, Jesus, this is a big operation, this.
Yeah.
So yeah, like for you to be able to scale that quickly, and that well as well, like it's a well-oiled machine. Like I don't know if I've told you this, but I definitely told Callum this. Everyone's like the vibe in the office is really good. Like everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite good. What's the hiring process like? Is it different to the SEO hiring process?
Yeah, it's different. We're hiring UK people. I mean, culture's a really big thing that I think's important. You've got to. I mean, I'm all about experience. So for me, I see the biggest sell in our business is not the product we sell or the service we offer our clients. It's the service that the lifestyle and service that we offer our employees.
Yeah.
Property inherently is property sales is a recruitment business because it's all about having good people. So you've got to make people excited to work.
Yeah.
And you also need to have an ability for them to grow and give them the things that they want, and I see it as my responsibility to have that attitude and give to them. I think that's why the energy and the vibe and the culture is so good, because we care a lot about their success. Genuinely.
Yeah.
It's real. It's not just like corporate waffle toss here. We put a lot of work into the team and spend a lot of time. We took them away to Amsterdam 3 months ago on a staff trip. It's like we want them to be happy and get on with each other and build a great career and make lots of money. It's ultimately what you want. So the hiring process, when you have a culture that's really good and people can see that, it becomes a lot easier to get great people, because great people are attracted by great people.
Yeah.
So we have an incredible recruitment funnel. We do some paid advertising into it now. But, I use my paid ad skills to sort of scale that. We're hiring a lot of people. Like we hire like 6 to 8 people a month at the moment. So it's a lot of onboarding that we bring on. We have an incredible system now for training up and ramping up salespeople that even don't have a great deal of experience but have the right attitude.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. So it's just a large scale. A lot of people apply, and a very small percentage of people get picked because we're really picky about the type of people that are going to fit in with the company and that we believe can scale with it. We have a good eye now for picking out those types of guys.
Yeah. Do you think since starting Let Property, you've matured a lot? Because I'll explain the reason why. I remember when you set up Boner Links, right? I remember that, Gary, right? Like the more childish side to you, where you're like not as mature, but obviously when you enter a room, when you're speaking to millionaires and stuff like that, you're obviously mature, Gary.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a different Gary now. I've been around with you for a couple of days, and I'm like, this isn't the Gary that I know is still in there, but it's like more clean cut Gary.
Yeah, more corporate and more.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've had to adapt and grow for the type of person I need to become to succeed in this space. And inherently, it's a massive responsibility. You've got to be really professional to have an office full of people. I mean, we want to have like 50 to 70 people next year in the office. It's a corporate business, There's offices, Morgan Stanley's office is probably around that size in Glasgow, Well, maybe they're a bit bigger, but it's a big operation at that level. So I guess I've definitely had to act more like a serious CEO. And I hope at my core I've not changed too much and become a bit too much of a twat. So I don't want to be that guy, like a posh CEO.
No, you've not changed. It's just how you hold yourself.
Very different.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a lot more maybe poised and calm. In the sense that I'm more tactical these days. More like that. I used to be just a bit of a all over the place, like crazy entrepreneur that would go and up and try everything and just jump in and just go for things and be a go-getter. I've just toned myself down. I've listened to a lot of people who are miles ahead of me and where I'm at just now and where I want to get to, guys worth 100 million, and I guess I'm taking more along the ways of how they act and how they conduct themselves in business, and I've just had to change myself to fit the role that that I'm doing and I'm carrying out, and it requires all this waffle talk about culture and stuff that years ago I'd have laughed at. If somebody said to me culture was important, I'd have laughed at them years ago, but now I actually understand it.
I think the reason why you would have laughed at it is because if you're using virtual assistants like VAs out in the Philippines, you don't need to worry as such about the culture. Whereas if it's an entire UK staff,
you sit 20 guys in a room, you now understand that the way that they act and the way that they think matters. Yeah, of course. Yeah. See it firsthand.
Right.
Totally.
So yeah, what's some goals that you've got for Let Property? I know the big one. I don't know if you want to share it, but
I'll share. So, I mean, I'm going for the billion here. That's the main overarching, like the company to be worth that at some point in the next 5-10 years. But in terms of like personal goals that surround it, I mean,
short-term goals.
Short-term, yeah. I mean, like I want to fly private. That's something that's a big thing that rings in my head. I'm still in, Ryanair and Emirates at the moment. Poor me, in business class Emirates. But I'd like to get to that stage where dropping 50 grand on a flight doesn't really matter. Not quite there yet, but that's the main sort of personal lifestyle goal, I suppose, is being able to freely travel the world in complete luxury. But doesn't matter more than the business side. This year we're building an app. We're expanding our sales team dramatically. We're scaling our advertising. There's so many big goals to push on this year, and it's about getting really amazing management and partner level people in place to run and operate those sort of divisions of the business. And that's kind of my main focus for the year, is to just really work on my people and get us all killing it and winning, and just innovating in a space that needs it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I picked up, where the staff are all brilliant, but then your managers are great because they're asking the right questions. They've obviously got the correct SOPs and the correct training and stuff like that. Like, how have you set, or is it you that set it up, or is it somebody else? Like, what's the process looking like?
I think I set a lot of it up. The first 2 years, to be honest, was like eating glass, shutting it out, and then eating the glass again. To be honest with you, it was very painful. So that was the first couple of years, and then it's got to a point where I've been able to train these managers to
eat the glass.
Yes, eat the glass themselves. I don't need to. So a lot of them work on SOPs and all that stuff now. So very, very strong management team in place that think like business owners and also are business owners.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They've got equity. A lot of these guys are paid tremendously well. I'm all about like rising people up to the moon and trying to help them win. It's like I feel like incredibly responsible for everyone that works with us, where I really want them to win, probably more than they even want to win themselves.
Yeah.
Right? I'm pushing these guys to be winners, especially the ones that show talent and show that they can be great and take on a bigger job than just initially coming in and selling properties. The guys who can really rise themselves up to manage people, to come up with new ways of selling properties and innovate in the space are the ones that I'll put a lot of time into, and my resources and my energy to try and get them winning and earning more money and ultimately adding value to the space.
Yeah, I feel like that's how you're able to maintain employees and managers and stuff like that, is if they have a bigger picture and they're like
a vision,
vision, and they feel like they're actually adding value, but they're also getting value back.
Yes,
they're the most loyal people to you. They'll
100%.
literally, like, if the ship's sinking, they'll be trying to patch the holes.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
If 5 o'clock on a Saturday night. You know, it's like,
yeah. That's what you need.
That's what you need, 100%. And that, as I say, that a lot of people in business expect that, right? But you can't expect anything.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create an environment where people want to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And that comes from caring about them. It's about you being there at 5 o'clock Saturday. There are business owners I know that are lazy and wonder why their team's lazy. It's like
laziness attracts lazy people.
100%. So it's like, it's what you put out is what you'll get back. You know, if
Yeah.
you want people to care and think about others and that will go the extra mile and care about the details and don't skip past things. And if you want that, then you better damn well be that person yourself and live by those rules, or change rapidly to get your team thinking that way.
Yeah,
So that's how you'll end up with a team like that.
Yeah. So where can people find you? I feel like we could speak for hours, but where can people find you?
I'm mostly on Instagram.
Instagram.
So at Gary Wilsey is probably the best place. Yeah, give me a follow on there. Hit me up. I love to hear what people think of these podcasts as well. I love hearing feedback from people. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on as well, mate.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it, man.
That's an awkward one.